discussing a new essay we just published. The title is Demand for Intelligence Always Growing. The key insight here is that intelligence is actually not compute bound, but goal bound. What do we mean with that? Goals are the ultimate resource of intelligence. And you can actually see that in the math itself. We use Hutter and Legg's definition of intelligence. We also lean on Richard Sutton's definition of intelligence. Both are actually very similar because they focus on goals. So intelligence is when agents pursue goals. Now there's a little bit more to that, of course. They have to change the behavior based on their ability to pursue goals. But fundamentally, the key of intelligence is to formulate a goal and then pursue that goal and get rewarded as a function of their ability to pursue that goal well versus not so well. So that's fundamentally what intelligence is all about. And if we follow this more strictly, if we follow this, just the math, we just look at the math, kind of like Schrödinger Hugh Everett, when he looked at the Schrödinger equation and just sort of concluded from there that, there has to be something like a multiverse just based on the math. The same way here, if you just look at the math, we actually have the answer. If we ask ourselves, can intelligence always grow? Is this a service? Is this something that continuously grows, or is there like a natural saturation? Is there a point where we say that's enough, we don't need more of it? And the answer is no. Intelligence is an indefinitely growing service because it's bound by our ability to set goals. So it's actually us. We decide how much intelligence we need by simply setting new goals. Now, what does that mean in practice? Well, first, I think we can, with good conscience, continue investing in large clusters of compute because the saying is that intelligence is compute bound. Now, that's not quite true because it's goal bound. But of course, we need the compute to provide intelligence to pursue goals. So in that sense, compute is a necessary but not sufficient ingredient for intelligence, because we need to have a society, we need to have a culture of goal setting. In practical terms, that means that we need to be driven by the possibility to do things. We need to dream high, we need to dream big. We need to have this culture of trying to achieve great things. To quote Robert Musil in Mann, ohne Eigenschaften, we need to become more Möglichkeitsmenschen. We need to see the world as it could be, not just as it is. At the risk of being, considered fools, at the risk of being attacked as Prometheus or something like that. Elon Musk is going through this right now. Jeff Bezos went through it in the past. We have a love-hate relationship with people like that. But I think as a society, if we want to become more intelligent as a society, we need to foster more opportunity and possibility. People need to dream up new kinds of goals to pursue. And the canonical example here is actually Elon Musk. Pursuing Mars is a very, very lofty goal. And the reason it's a lofty goal is because it creates a lot of problems on the path towards getting to Mars. And that is what goal setting is all about. Create problems and then solve them. And this ties into Karl Popper, David Deutsch. The Free Society of Karl Popper really is a blueprint, not just for freedom. Freedom on its own is almost, it's beautiful to have it, but what's the point? Like, if we don't use it, and the way we can use freedom is by pursuing goals, by being open to new ideas. Freedom incorporates many things. It's not just the freedom, the civil law definition of freedom, but we need to be free to experiment. We need to be free to fail. To some extent, of course, we need of course, sanctions, and we need accountability, and we should actually punish people from failing, so there's no moral hazard. But we need to find a way, and I think that requires societal technology, moral technology, ethical technology. A society cannot just be built on technology itself. Like, that's not enough. We need moral societal technology. We need a concept in society that develops this entrepreneurial spirit, this idea seeking. And I think I've spoken about this recently quite extensively when discussing Emerson's biography. I think Emerson is the epitome of this. He's the intellectual father of the American can-do spirit, which has created this ability to pursue goals and has created wealth, because the ability to pursue goals and freedom and self-actualization, self-reliance, and then also the ability to actually follow your entrepreneurial spirit. All of these things are necessary for a wealthy society. And you can see societies that are wealthy but don't create new wealth, such as, for example, Switzerland, or actually a lot of European societies. They have a lot of these ingredients that are necessary for pursuing goals and moving society towards more wealth and more intelligence. Wealth and intelligence are two sides of the same coin, but they're not driving fast, or they're not driving as fast as let's say Silicon Valley. And by the way, China has the technology, they have the compute, and they have the researchers, but they don't have the moral, societal, and ethical foundation that is necessary to drive intelligence and wealth. That's why we need freedom. The purpose of freedom is to foster intelligence and eventually wealth. Intelligence and wealth are two sides of the same coin, the same, or if you want, a triangle where freedom, technology, and wealth, and goals, and all of these concepts are all intertwined into the same vector, which is driving society towards a better state. And I think that's actually, as a side note here, I mentioned in the essay, you need to have a free and open society. I think Karl Popper laid the foundations for a society that can foster intelligence and that can foster freedom and therefore also wealth. Thank you.